Welcome back to the Live with Grace podcast, where we discuss sports, lessons, and life as athletes, professionals, creators, dreamers, and leaders. I'm Grace Byer, and I'm your host, and I'm so happy you're here. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Live with Grace podcast. Today on the show, I'm here with Antoinette Bannister. You probably know her as AB. And she is a professional basketball player. She's played overseas. She's played in Portugal. She's played in Albania, Nicaragua, Mexico. She's also a member of the Jamaican national team. She's played for them. She started playing for them in 2017. She's also a former D1 hooper at North Carolina, Florida, and East Carolina University. And last but not least, she is a Jacksonville native. So go Jacksonville.
Go Jacks.
But so thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a great opportunity, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And just to start, can you tell us a little bit about, growing up in Jacksonville and what really made you fall in love with the game of basketball?
Okay, so a lot of people joke with me all the time, and they like I was born, with a ball in my hands, which it kind of, it kind of feels like it because, I had two older brothers that played, and my dad was their coach, and when I hit the age of 5, I pretty much I think that's really when I fell in love with the game. I was just always around it. I was always, somewhere dribbling the ball around, whether it was around the house or I was in the gym. And, I just picked up on those little habits as a young girl. And, growing up in Jacksonville, I went to Inglewood Elementary first as being in elementary. And then I went to a school called Shekinah Christian Academy. And that's where, I won my first state championship as a 6th grader.
Wow.
Yeah, so high school state championship. And, back then, as a 6th grader, going to a Christian school, like a private school, you could play varsity in the 6th grade. So that's how, I was able to, be a part of a high school championship team as a 6th grader. And from there, I went to Potter's House Christian Academy right off of Lane Avenue from my 7th grade into 12th grade year. And, we were really, really great team. I had what we call some dogs,
Yeah,
with
for sure.
I had a lot of great teammates, which, we're still friends and still sisters, till this day. And, as for myself, I was recruited very heavily. Our whole team was, but, my dad was our coach. My dad was my coach really since from the time I learned to play until the time I graduated from high school. My AAU coach and my high school coach. And, we traveled around the country, we traveled around the world, playing different teams in California, Chicago, North Carolina, Orlando. We went to many different places, and we were able to play in front of, a lot of different coaches, a lot of different scouts, and we got to play against some great competition. And, growing up here in Jackson, being able to have an opportunity like that to, travel to different places as a middle schooler, as a high schooler, it was awesome, because some people didn't get that chance, especially being part of the FHSAA. They don't allow you to, go too far. So once we got to Potter's House, we became an independent school. So we had our own independent league, was called the SIAA, which was the Sunshine Independent Athletic Association. And there's some other teams that actually got involved, and we were able to compete for a national tournament as well as a state championship.
Wow, that's such a cool experience.
It was really awesome. That's one thing that I appreciate because my dad, he prepared us for college, with being able to travel and also being able to do your homework on the road. We had times where we had to take time and have tutoring times, we would help each other with homework or classwork or whatever it was. We would pair up and do stuff like that while we were even on the road. So when we did come back, we weren't falling behind.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it is in college too.
Exactly. You have to be able to have that balance of, okay, yes, I'm a athlete, but they say that student athlete. So we had to remember we're students first and then we're athletes second.
Right. And how cool was it that your dad was your coach and all that too?
It was awesome. It was like one of those like once in a lifetime things, it's like I wish my dad could have been my coach, forever. Yeah. And like being able to be coached by my dad, it was never, ever easy. Like,
yeah,
especially with him coaching my brothers first. So, he was a little hard on me because, I was pretty much like the first girl he, was being able to coach, and he was hard on me. Like there were days where, I cried and I wanted to quit, and I thought I was going to quit, and I couldn't quit. And it wasn't because, I can't quit because my dad's my coach. I didn't want to quit because I know my dad, like, he had the best interest for me,
Right.
like, yeah, he was yelling at me, but at the end of the day, like, this is dad, but he's still my coach as well. And so there were times where I sometimes had to like separate it, like on court, like, yes, he's my dad, but he's not dad right now. He's Coach Bannister. And, I still called him dad, but sometimes, I called him coach. So I could be able to, separate and have that balance. But at the end of the day, like, my dad being my coach was one of the greatest things ever because it allowed me to be able to take another coach like yelling at me. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
or, like,
for sure.
Not as far as like, yelling and just getting on me, but being able to take like that constructive criticism, look my coach in their face, whether it's a lady or a man, and like, okay, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. My bad, coach. You know what I'm saying? My bad. That was a bad play. That was on me. And so he taught me those things that helped me, as I got into college and as I got into the pro, my pro career and stuff like that too. So like I said, him being my coach was probably like the greatest ever. So I wish he could have continued to be my coach. And I say it all the time,
sure.
but he's still coaching. So that's still a great thing. And so like when I do come home, I try to, like help him out and stuff as well.
That's so awesome. And I think this is something that we talked about on the podcast I recorded yesterday, but being able to take that, like yelling or getting on you, it comes like if it's coming from a place of trust that he has your best interest in mind, it could be a lot better received.
Right.
So I do think that is a blessing that you did have that from such a young age, because for some people, maybe even including myself, it took maybe into like late high school and early into college to have exposure to that type of coaching.
I got you.
So that's cool for sure. And also I wanted to touch on the Athletes Unlimited Pro Sports League. So for those that don't know, the AU Pro Sports League is one of the most competitive women's leagues in the country, next to the WNBA. So how was that experience, playing for them? You played in 2022 and the 2023 season, so not too long ago.
Yeah, so I was actually a part of, the first season, so the inaugural season for basketball, and then I was invited back for the second season. But it was a great experience. Another experience that's like, it's something called like that window of opportunity, and like it's one of those opportunities that I felt like if I wouldn't have took it, who knows, the connections and places that, I could be. So, I went to the tryouts back in 2021. They had the tryouts in, I think it was November or December of 2021. And it was a free tryout, 2-day weekend, Saturday and Sunday, or Friday, Saturday. I'm sorry, I can't remember.
It's all good. Weekend.
But yeah, it was a weekend. And, I pretty much like, they're like, say bet on yourself. And that's what I did. Like there was a point where I wasn't going to go to the tryout because right before that, I thought I was about to go actually overseas. And the opportunity that I thought I wanted, the team didn't take me. And so going to AU tryouts, I was kind of like already down because I was like, maybe I don't need to go to this because I didn't think I was, I didn't think this was somewhere I could fit in. I give a lot of props to my wife because she was like, no, you're going to go. Like, you're going to go down and you're going to go. And, I went, and pretty much, long story short, I did really well. And I got some good feedback from some of the, WNBA girls that were there. And like I said, after that tryout, I didn't get picked for it, and at first, it did have me feeling like, dang, I thought I had did good, but I guess not. Right. And, fast forward to a few months after, I actually went getting a call and, them letting me know that they had some, had some spots opened up, and, was I still interested? And I said, yes, with no hesitation. And, I'm just going to backtrack a little bit because if you don't know, Athletes Unlimited is it's a women's professional league that was started, I want to say about 5 years ago, but they started with softball first.
Okay.
And so they like started with softball, then they added like lacrosse and then volleyball. They added volleyball as well. And then basketball was the next sport that they added. And, so girls like Tosh Cloud, Lexi Brown, Lauren Mincy, some of those girls, there's the ones who pretty much got the women's side started.
Gotcha.
So like Grace mentioned, this is one of those leagues where it's the next best thing closest, to the WNBA. So for me to, have the opportunity to be around, girls where have been to where I'm trying to get to, I've been to places where I want to get to, whether it's basketball or like outside of basketball, it was a great experience, and just soaking up all the information I could. I got to meet like Cheryl Swoops, you know about Cheryl Swoops, but never thought I would meet her. And, I literally got to meet Cheryl Swoops and I got to listen to her talk and, just learning different things, going through different, like mindset workshops. Like there was so much that we did, like outside of basketball that helped me, like, I feel like be like a better person, like not on the court, but even also like off the court. So, I feel like my role there was just to be like my presence, like to make my presence like, hey, I'm not here to, I might not be here to, be on the court, but let me figure out how I can like still stay in the game without actually being in the game.
Yeah.
And so I meant, I stayed cheering my teammates on. If there was a time where, there was a seat that you could sit in and, give feedback on that, I would do that. And it was just other things that I took advantage of. And I was like, hey, I don't have to be on the court right now, but how can I still stay engaged and still be a good teammate? And so, all in all, that experience was like one of the greatest experiences ever as being a professional basketball player. So, anybody that's like, hey, if you want to go to the WNBA or you may not make it, like, there's still ways that, God or people can connect you to where you're trying to go to.
Right,
so, and I feel like that's what AU has done for me. Like, I may not make it to the W, but I went to Athletes Unlimited and I was able to play with those girls and make those connections that, who knows where to take it.
Yeah. And how cool is, like, I think that it's I think it's really humbling experience, but also important to have a season or have a space where you're not in the role that you're used to playing.
And that's exactly what that was. Like you nailed it. Like you said, like it was even more humbling to just like you say, have a space where I don't have to feel like I'm like on the court, like I had a chance to like actually watch and like learn. Like there's some, like I was able to train with, I don't know if you know her name is Danielle Viglione, but she just recently this year got a job with the LA Sparks, but she's a trainer around the world. Like she trains a lot of different kids and a lot of different pro athletes. And, I used that time to, get better. Like I was able to train with Kelsey Mitchell with her. Like, so like there were some times where like I was able to get some individual workouts in with some of those WNBA girls, doing some of those same drills with them. So like you said, like it made me almost, it's like, what's the word? When you like, you see like a celebrity and you're like
starstruck.
Yeah, starstruck. Yes. And that's how I was at first. And I'm like, okay, but you like, I was starstruck, but I now had to keep telling myself like, but you belong here too.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I didn't want to be like, seem like so starstruck where I like,
or like a fan almost.
Yeah, and missed the bigger picture of everything.
Right.
And once I got there and I got comfortable and like my confidence, like it was like I had, I'm saying, I had been around them all before. And I feel like, when you put out like positivity, I'm saying, like that good energy, like you attract it. And I felt like that was one of the things that I was able to do and not, instead of, I could have went there and been negative. Oh, why am I not playing? Why I should be in the game this time. Instead of doing that, I channeled all that into something positive and like, hey, I'm supposed to be here. And whatever it is I'm supposed to be doing, do it and do it well. And that's what I did. Not like 8:00 in the morning. Because when I came in this morning at 9, nobody.
Really?
Yeah, it was perfect. Like it's just me and the boy, and it was one other lady in here.
It's just so loud. Like
they don't run light. It's like they're like pounding like.
Yeah.
It's okay though. It's okay.
It's okay. I might just.
No, yeah, you're good.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think of what my response was. Oh, thank you for just like being transparent about that.
No, yeah,
Because
no
like
problem.
when I look at you, or like when I was researching for this podcast, I'm like, oh man, like she's played with some of the best, and that's just how I grouped you in
No,
with,
yeah, right.
And so like how people see you from the outside, it's like not nice to hear, but kind of relatable to hear that you had to go through that phase of reassuring yourself that you deserve to be in that space. Because I think for a lot of athletes, you enter into a new space. Like that was honestly me this year. I was transferring to a new school in a new city and all that types of things. And like a lot of times when a lot of good is happening to you and you haven't like experienced that before, it's like, is this real? Like, do I deserve this? Am I supposed to be here?
Exactly.
And so the fact that you were able to not only get through that, but then also like just soak it in and not make it about ego and make it about, why am I not playing? And let me be a complainer and let me focus on, oh, what did I do wrong? Maybe even taking it as a hit to your confidence. You did the complete opposite, and you just show how you're such a positive role model for people, that because most athletes have been in a situation like that. Very, very few athletes have the courage to talk about it. I've been benched. Like it sucks.
It does. I mean,
It
it hurts.
Yeah.
Because like you say, that confidence, it makes you feel like, what did I do wrong? You know, because like at the end of the day, like we're human, we have emotions. We're gonna feel certain ways, but like it has you feeling sometimes just like, dang, am I that? Am I that girl? Not even that girl, but like, am I as good as I thought? And it's like, I never try to have those thoughts because I know my worth and I know like I belong here. Like you said, like you belong there, but like you said, you moved into it's a different area, different space.
Yeah.
So it's like it took some time to just probably like for you to like get adjusted and stuff to it. So
yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
That's one thing. I'm sorry. No, you're good. That's just one thing I've learned throughout my journey is to just be open and honest. You know what I'm saying? Like I made mistakes in college that caused me to do all that transferring. You know what I'm saying? Like there's stuff that mistakes I made but there's things that I've been able to correct, you know what I'm saying? And not repeating some of those same mistakes. And so I feel like that's major key. Like, yeah, I've been to these different places, but like I've had a journey. Like it's been, you know what I'm saying? And I don't try to make it seem like this, and this. Like, no, like I'm a very like humble person. And like, so like once you get to sit down and like, you get to talk with me and stuff, like you'll see like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like she went through some of the same stuff and you just would never know. But like, I just don't show it. Like there's things I'll go through overseas and I don't show it because I just try to keep that like mental toughness part. And I feel like a lot of, the things that we go through or like, whether it's basketball, like if we can have like that strong mindset of just like, okay, I have a strong faith belief system too as well. So that's another thing that helps me to just be able to like keep going. And I always just feel like, all right, God, he has me in this position or this opportunity for a reason.
Right.
And that reason is for me to like figure it out. He's not going to tell me what the reason is. And the reason might hurt, but it's for a good reason. So that's how I just try to look at life and, just the different situations and opportunities as well.
Was it like a transit? Like, was it a moment when you had to, make the conscious choice that, I'm just going to be present and soak in this opportunity, even though it's not like what I looked like? Or was your immediate response just to faith and
just like, are you talking about for AU?
For AU or just in general, like similar things you might have been through? Like
so
that?
For AU, one, yes. Going into AU, I did go on with, what I'm saying, like the confidence that, I wanted to play like, I'm going to, who wouldn't want to go to something like this and be able to just kind of like, play and like kind of, like showcase their talents on this kind of, stage.
Right.
And, when I got there, it wasn't that. And at first it was kind of hard to accept. And I will admit that because I'm like, I'm here and why am I at least getting
it's like, I'm so close.
Yes. And it wasn't even more so like I'm here and I need to be in the WNBA. It was like, I'm here for a reason And I thought that reason was, at first, I need to be there and I need to be on the court playing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't even to like feel like I had to like prove myself to nobody, but I was just wanting to feel like I actually, I belong on the court with these same girls. Like a lot of the girls, I played against, and whether it was AAU and like high school and stuff like that. But, so at first it was kind of frustrating, but again, it was humbling, because I didn't have to, felt like I had to go out there and play 30, 40 minutes or whatever. Like for me, I was just like, hey, let me get like 5 or 10 minutes here and, do what I need to do. And there were times when I did enter the game and it, like, it's in spurts and it wasn't as long as I wanted. But when I did go out there on the court, whether it was 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes or whatever, I did. And I made sure like I maximized my minutes. So I didn't go out there, feeling like I had to score, because the way with AU system, they have a point system. So you can get points for giving an assist. So like, say me and you are in the game and I pass the ball to you and you score. Yeah, you make the bucket, but I get like 10 points to my like overall total points because I gave you an assist and you made it.
That's cool.
So yeah, so like you get points for like making shots, getting rebounds. Steals, assists, charges, and you also get points taken away for missing shots or turning the ball over or making, a bad pass or missing a layup and stuff like that. So like the way their system was, it was like you kind of have to be able to play like all around game, because you don't just have to score. So like when I would get in the game, I wasn't like, oh, let me get in the game and I got to go score real quick. It was, let me get in the game, let me get my feet wet. I don't have to go out there and go, all out. Yeah. So, and once I realized that, and I started to realize like my role was going to be a little bit different, I was able to, like I say, flip that switch, whether I was like, hey, why am I not playing? But then again, it was like, you're still here.
Right.
And that's what I had to keep in perspective, because there were girls that wish, people that wish they could have been there. There were some girls I went to that tryout with and, didn't get the opportunity. So I had to keep that in the back of my head. Like, they didn't have to call you, they called me because, they had an extra spot. And that's why I looked at it as like, you're supposed to be here and it's just for a different reason right now.
Right.
And so once I learned that, it helped me to just like wherever I'm at, like there's a reason, like I said, like I have to figure out that reason. And being there made me figure out like, you don't have to be on the court to make a difference. And that's what I learned there. Like my presence alone, made a difference, and it made me some connections with people. Like I say, I probably would have never made connections with if I would have went there with a negative mindset, or if I would have complained in front of them. And that's some things like I did not do. Like I might have, been frustrated back at the hotel room, but I never let it show. Like I kept
when you
that,
were on
like,
the bench or when you were with your team.
Yes. And that's the thing I had to like realize, like, hey, you're here for a reason. And whatever that reason is,
it's
just
not
do
to just suck energy away. It's to somewhat give your energy or give of yourself.
And that's the thing. I feel like it's helped me tremendously. Like just moving forward is just like, you never know what reason or why you're there, but you're there for some type of, some type of reason. I was just trying to like keep that gratitude mindset, with whatever comes my way, even if things are going bad, even if I wasn't getting in the game, I'm still grateful. I'm grateful because I'm still here. And so I'm one of the 44 girls, there's only 44
in the
girls.
country. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like 44 girls out of you're still one of those chosen ones. And that's the perspective that I keep with, whether it's with AU or just in life, like, you're still blessed no matter what. And that's the things I just try to keep. And like I said, like my faith, it keeps me going. Like there are times where I do feel down, with situations overseas. And there's times where I'm ready to go, but I have to realize like, you can't, sometimes some things you just have to like persevere and keep pushing through. And I feel like I pushed through so much and persevered through so much. Like now for me, it's like, I don't want to say like, it's like a norm, but it's like something crazy comes my way. I'm like, all right, I'm going to control.
What's it gonna look like this?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, all right, I'm going to control what I can control. And I'm going to let the Lord himself, he handles the rest. I know like if I'm putting my best foot forward and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, everything else will work out and it'll take care of itself.
Right. And at the end of the day, you are a pro too. That's like the whole topic of this podcast is your experience as a professional basketball player. So just kind of hearing that perspective though, one thing I will say is, as you get into your mentoring and training kids, the amount of kids that go through that similar situation, and now you have that in your toolbox too. Like, oh, I went through this. Like, I got to this caliber. I played D1. I played overseas. I played professionally, and still I have this experience that I had to be a good teammate, and I had to put the team before myself, and that's really hard to do. But now some kid might come to you asking, I'm going through this situation. And, while you might work with them, him or her, to try to get their skills up to par, get their IQ or whatever, they might also have to be patient in that. So I think that it's really valuable that you did have that experience, and thank you for like being so transparent about that. Problem. But now we're going to get into our first main topic of the podcast, which, like I briefly mentioned, the podcast topic today is just about AB's experience playing professional basketball. So the first topic is about networking, connections, and communication as far as just the professional basketball world. And so my first question for you is that once you decided after college you wanted to play professionally, how did you first get connected to an agent?
So once I graduated from college, I didn't have an agent like coming out of college. Sometimes people already have some like stuff set in. I didn't have an agent in college, and I transferred to 3 different schools, and that might have played a role too, and so coming out of college, I was actually very overweight. Like, I'll have to show you some pictures. You can blur this out, but yeah, I used to weigh like 220 pounds. So like college, I struggled with my weight and stuff. And so coming out of college, I didn't have really any connections. Like, my dad had, a lot of connections with like college coaches and stuff like that. But as far as like, trying to get overseas, it was a little difficult. So I pretty much had to like do it for myself, like market myself. Like, I was, getting into groups on Facebook, like different like overseas pages and stuff on Facebook. I'm reaching out to coaches, reaching out to different teams, different clubs, just trying to like get my foot in the door somewhere. So like I said, like I didn't have an agent, coming right out. And I did end up getting an agent about 2 years ago. And once I did get the agent, like before that, I had been to Portugal twice before. And then I had went to Mexico. And then after my Mexico incident, that's when I ended up getting an agent. And, I had an agent, and, she was good. Like, she helped me, get to Nicaragua and get to Albania and stuff like that. But I just had realized, like, personally for me, like, I really didn't want an agent. Okay. And that's no disrespect or no disregard to agents, because there are good agents out there that will, get you to where you need to be and where you want to be, but
get you like the right
get you the right contract. And I felt like I wasn't getting that. Okay. And so, because I'm so passionate for the game, like, yeah, I'm gonna go play, but like I had to start thinking more to like outside the box. Like, I can't just keep going to play for this, and this because I love the game of basketball. And so, I got to a point where like, okay, if I do, work with an agent, work with agents again, like I wouldn't mind, but I had learned like, hey, you can do this for yourself, and there are good agents out there, like I said, will help you and do the right things. But like for me, I felt like I've made a lot of connections overseas with now coaches and even players, and, being a coach here in Jacksonville as well with one of my homegirls, we had some overseas kids. So I feel like, just making different connections wherever you are, like you don't necessarily like have to have an agent, but it can be good to have an agent.
Right.
So I guess it just, the preference, like for my preference, like I'm okay with, not having an agent, but I don't mind like working with someone. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I just kind of want to have like that flexibility to kind of be able to like, move how I need to move, instead of like someone like having to tell me like, this is what it is. This is what it is. This is what like, and I get that. But if you are able to just like, make connections for yourself, then, you can, get yourself in, get yourself in the door as well. Like I went to different combines as well. So like I put myself in certain positions where I could, potentially like, try to get looks
talk
like
to
that.
someone.
Yeah, and talk to someone. But I don't knock, having an agent and, connecting with agents at all, because I still talk to some agents, but there's like no agent that I'm actually like,
tight with.
Yeah. Like actually like signed with, because it's a lot that comes with it. And so like you have to do like a lot of different like, research and making sure like, hey, can this person really help me get to where I'm trying to get to for my basketball career? And not even just my basketball career, outside of basketball too. So, I'm getting like in my latter years of actually playing. Like I won't even sit here and be like, yeah, I got like 5-10 more years, because I know my body doesn't. Like mentally, I know I do, but injury wise and just like, I don't think so. So I'm just now, like if I can get, like another year or two and, just keep making different connections, wherever I go, then why not? Like I can see myself, maybe going overseas and like, teaching kids basketball or, doing camps and stuff like that. Those are the type of things that, like I would enjoy doing, or even becoming like my own, like being an agent. Like that's something I can see myself doing too, because like I would really want to be an advocate for not only like female athletes, more specifically female athletes, because girls don't get treated as, the same sometimes that guys do.
Right.
And like sometimes like, like working with agents, like they'll send you somewhere and like, it's like, okay, I'm a female, like, this isn't what it's supposed to be. And, just different situations have helped me to just realize like, overseas isn't what everyone always thinks it is. Like, yes, you go overseas and you're going over there, but you're really going over there for your job. Like I don't go over there for vacation, I go over there, one thing in mind, like I'm here to do my job, and I'm here to not only make myself better, but make my teammates better, and, hopefully like, learn from my coach and stuff too. So, like I said, I don't knock agents at all, but personally for me, like, I prefer like to kind of like work for myself. But like I said, I will work, like if an agent came to me like, hey, I have this opening, would you be interested? I won't be like, hey, I don't want to talk. Yeah, I don't want no agent. Like, no, I'm gonna hear them out. But let them know, like, I'm not necessarily trying to sign with an agency, but if you want to help me, I will definitely, like take your help and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, if you want an agent, I say go for it, but make sure you just like, like do your research, because you also want to have an agent who doesn't have like too many people, because if they have too many people, they can't really, like focus on you as much as you would kind of like them, especially like being a rookie. So that's one thing too. Like if you, are into getting an agent, like make sure you just like do your research and figuring out, where have, their clients been, or, what connections, they may have outside of the agency and stuff like that. So I would just say those are some like things to like kind of look at, but really looking at how many people they're already like representing. Because like, yeah, they can represent a lot of people, but it's like, okay, if I come in, how much
where
help
do I fit?
Yeah, and it's like, how much help am I really gonna get? Especially like as for you, like next year, like going into your rookie year. So
and you want to like probably feel like a priority in their schedule as well.
Yeah.
So how was it like from the time that you decided you wanted to play professionally to signing that first pro contract? Like how did that all go down?
So I graduated from college. I graduated from college in 2017, and actually before I got my first actual like professional overseas contract, I played with the Jamaican national team. So I had graduated in 2017, and then a few months later, I ended up playing with them. So me and my family went to Jamaica for a vacation, and I ended up getting like my passport and stuff while I was there. Like we did everything, got it expedited, got all the information and stuff like that. And so that was like my first professional experience, was playing with the Jamaica national team in the Virgin Islands for a tournament. And then fast forward to 2018 was my very first opportunity to actually go overseas and actually play in Portugal. And, that was like, getting that foot in the door was very, very, it was, I would say, kind of difficult, because I had, I got into some trouble back in college, and, going overseas, teams are going to look you up. They're going to look at, so, because they want to make sure they're bringing in good people. And so like, having to like pretty much like vouch for myself,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I had, like, I realized like, I know how to put in a good word for myself, like, yeah, I made a mistake here, but that doesn't define like, what I'm saying, who I am. And so that's what I had to pretty much like get the coach to realize like, hey, I'm coming here to play and make your team better, do what I need to do. And that's it. And once I got my foot in the door from there, I just felt like, hey, you can do this. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, like with AU, like I belong there. And so I just learned to just like, so try to market myself and just like figuring it out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, it's good to have help. And I love when like people help, but I've been so used to like feeling like I have to figure it out on my own.
Right.
So now I'm like getting to that point where like it's okay to, what I'm saying,
Accept help.
Accept the help. You know what I'm saying? Like even for you to, reach out and ask me to do this podcast. Like before then, like if you would have asked me, if we would have met maybe like 2 years ago or something, like I would have been like, no, I'm good, because it would have been hard for me to like sit here and like be so open and transparent, because I never really had the chance to like, what I'm saying, sit here and do something like this. So that's what I feel like has just helped me, and just, being a pro and being able to get my foot in the door is like, don't be afraid to bet on yourself. Like, don't be afraid to reach out to coaches on your own. Like, it may take you a minute to actually get an agent, but until you get one, don't be afraid to, go to combines and go to these different workouts where like scouts and stuff will be, because at the end of the day, yes, people can only help you get so far, but like as yourself, like you can probably take yourself, a little bit further if you like really just have that confidence, like, and believe in yourself and like market yourself, and like you can vouch for yourself. And I feel like that'll make you more credible than somebody else having to tell them about who you are.
Right.
So,
because then it's like you have to trust them and you have to trust you, versus you're hearing it straight from the source.
Yep.
But I think just that skill of being able to advocate for yourself, like I think that that's something, I've had opportunities to build that skill, and it's not an easy thing to do all the time,
right.
to like have sometimes hard conversations with people where you're just being honest, or you're saying exactly how you feel, or you're saying this is who I am, and just being confident in that. So I appreciate that, and because I think that you're right, like not everyone does have an agent to do that for them. Not everyone is coming from a Power 5 school or has those types of resources off the bat. So can you also touch on, where you're about to go play? Because you were talking about, the safety of, being a woman going into other countries, and you're about to, you just got this opportunity recently. So
yeah, so I was actually supposed to be taking a break because I feel like I've been on the move, like playing so much. But sometimes, opportunities come up and it's like, you kind of question, like, should I take it or should I not? And like, I was battling with it. So I'm actually about to leave in like 3 weeks to go to Iraq. And, when you hear Iraq, you're like, no, like, that's what my parents, they were like. No.
I can imagine mine being.
Yeah, like, especially my dad. He was like, I've never stopped you from going somewhere, but Iraq, he was like, I don't know. And I'm like, Dad, like, it's okay. Like, I was like that at first, like when I heard the word Iraq, but I'm like, you know what? Who knows what can come out, of this opportunity. And there's something that I learned a few years ago, and it's called a window of opportunity. And it's just pretty much like one of those like favorable opportunities that like has to be like seized like immediately, and they don't come like often. And I feel like this was one of those, like, I didn't go searching for it. I wasn't planning, to go anywhere. And this was a friend of mine who I met last year in Nicaragua. He's played in Iraq 2 seasons already. And this agency that he's connected with, they made a post and he sent it to me and it was like, hey, sis, I just let them know about you, hit them up. So, it's like sometimes like you just never know, like those opportunities where your name is being mentioned and you just like, you have no idea. And that was, I feel like one of those, like, wow, somebody, mentioned my name for, such a great opportunity. And I'm like, I got to take it. And so, after just like, talking with my wife and talking with my parents, like I listened to their opinions and my wife's like, hey, if it's good, if you feel good, I'm all for it. Then I had to like listen to my parents and then they're like, we don't know. And so I didn't want their fear of like me going to Iraq stop me from still, like going after my career.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I didn't want to happen. I prayed about it and I'm like, if this is what I'm supposed to do, then this is what I need to do. And like, I battled for it for about a week and a half. And then I finally let them know, like, I'm going to go ahead and come. And, I'm just using this opportunity as another opportunity to like, make an impact on, the kids over there and, the coaches over there. And like, who knows, this may be, the opportunity where it can get me to where I've been trying to get to in my basketball career.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I'm using this as. And like, I'm super, super excited. Yeah, it's nerve wracking, but I'm very more excited to actually go over there and, get to experience it. Like that's somewhere that's one of the places like you never think you would go.
Mm-hmm.
But, like my friend told me, he was like, there's some of the nicest people over there as well. So I'm just more excited to go over there and experience, their culture and, adjust to, the way they live and, make new connections and just, like have a great experience and go over there and win a championship as well.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah. So it's just for the month. It's literally just for the month of August. So it's not long. So I'll be right back.
I'll be excited to hear about that.
No, definitely. Sure. I'll definitely keep you updated with like our games and stuff too. Cause I'll be like 7 hours ahead.
Okay.
So yeah. So right now
they'll be like in the morning time for us.
Yes. So like when it's already like 3 p.m. over there, it's like 9 o'clock in the morning here, or like 10 o'clock. Yeah, something like that. So
yeah, I'll have to tune in.
Yeah. So
but that also hold on, I'm gonna wait for it. It definitely is the construction.
All the days. I mean, like running the balls, the construction.
I might do like a little like warning or something at the beginning, like there might be some outside noises. I did my
disclaimer.
Yeah, I've done it before. Hopefully I won't need to though. But that actually leads beautifully into the next topic that I was going to ask you about, which is, there's a lot of conversation about sometimes when with other countries and signing these pro contracts, there's sometimes deception involved and, in the communication process, there might be language barrier, there might be just things that you might not fully know about. Mm-hmm. And so when you are communicating with these different teams, when you talked about Iraq, you said, you felt good about it when you prayed about it, you felt good in your gut. But how do you know, like, if it's a good situation before you go to a foreign country?
So it's like, there's been a few times where like opportunities have been presented and like, you kind of just get that gut feeling where like, this doesn't.
It's a little sketchy.
It's a little sketchy. Yeah. Like, yeah, this seems kind of sketchy. And there's been times where I was like, I have went with that discernment where like, nah, I'm not. The contract doesn't look right. Like some of what y'all are saying doesn't sound right. So the things like far as like, going back to Iraq, like one of the things that just made me feel so confident and good about it was because of the communication with the agency and the coach from the team. Even the things like some things that were put in the contract where you may have to like ask for, I didn't even have to like mention to them. And so that's one thing that actually really made me, feel comfortable and confident in it. But in general, when just going overseas and, different places, like you have to be able to like, for one, use Google Translate because that's one of the.
I heard that's a big thing.
It's
the language.
Big thing. That and they have something called like Duolingo where you can actually like learn the language, and it is hard. Like Albania probably was one of the hardest countries to try to like learn their language because they talk very, very different and it's like super, super fast. And so, when I am gone, like I'll use Google Translate all day. Like even if I can't talk to them in English, I'll pull my phone out and I'll type it in, and they'll translate it and I'll show them my phone and then I'll let them speak what they have to say and then they'll translate it back to me. So like, you just sometimes have to like be able to figure out how to like adapt because you're not going to have somebody or always have like another American teammate or a translator that's going to be able to like, translate things for you. Like, yeah, sometimes you'll have your teammates, a few teammates, like some, especially the younger girls that can speak some English, but you still have to be able to like, all right, how am I going to communicate with my coach? How am I going to communicate with these people in this country that I know nothing about, you know? So just being able to have that mindset of like, I'm going over here and I'm in their territory. So I have to be able to adjust to them, not them adjusting to me, because I'm in, you know, I'm in their home.
Right.
And so just really that communication part and just like being respectful and just like respecting, you know, their culture and like their languages and stuff. It's helped me to just like realize like we're all pretty much like the same. Like we're different, but like we're the same.
Yeah.
And so that's the like thing that I keep in the back of my head, like especially with like little kids, like it makes me even more humble and so grateful because like I know kids wish they could come, you know, they want to come to the States. Every time I'm gone, they're like, how can we get to the States? How can I get to the States? And I'm like, I want to keep coming overseas, you know, like I'd rather be in overseas somewhere. And so I realized like just as bad as we want to go to their countries and, you know, play our sport or go vacation, they want to come to the US just as bad and, you know, want to learn. So I even try to use like my language skills and help them learn English, you know,
so
and they
sweet.
help me learn, you know, whatever their language is. And it's just as simple as like me trying to learn like the terms on the court, like for a screen, you know, for a pass. Even if I can't pronounce it, if I hear you say it, I'll know kind of like, you know, I'll know what you're talking about. Yeah. So I mean, I can sit and have a conversation, but there's like certain words or certain things like they'll maybe say on the court and I'm like, oh, okay. She just said something maybe about a screen, like a screen coming from this side. So even if you just like learn like little words and stuff like that, it'll help you being able to like communicate with people when you're gone. So
that is like a whole nother level.
It is
like IQ too, to be able to like translate it
Mhm.
in game. And then can you touch briefly on, you know, the transition of being a professional and now you're playing to get paid? Like, how did you deal with, first of all, just like the pressure to perform and, you know, you're kind of being judged on a night to night basis.
Yeah.
And it's a business and all of that. So how did you like deal with that and stay grounded throughout that?
So it's tough. It is tough, especially like when you go and you can some teams only can allow like 2 foreigners, you know, or 2 Americans. And so it's like they're bringing you over there almost to be like a hero. That's kind of what it seems like, you know, it's like they bring you and they want you to like, you know, do this and you got to score this and you got to score that. And like, it does feel like a lot of pressure, but like when you can just go over and kind of just like, you know, just play your game and do what you're supposed to do, it kind of makes it a little bit like lesser. But I'm not even gonna lie, like before every game, I'm always like antsy. Like I get nervous and I'm just like, why are you always getting like this before a game? But it's just because, like you say, that pressure of like, or those nerves of like, I know I have to perform because, you know, this is my job, you know, like on any normal job, like even, you know, working at pickup, say she's sitting at the front desk, but she's not doing her job, then of course they're going to want to bring in somebody else. And it's the same thing being an athlete, being a professional athlete. If you're not doing your job, or if they don't think you're doing your job, you feel like you're doing your job, but they're expecting you to be up here and you're like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, but they want you to be way up here. And there's been times where I've been sent home. I have been cut from teams. My first deal at Portugal, I was sent home. I've been sent home from Mexico, you know? And so they hurt at the time because at the time I'm like, hey, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I thought I was playing. Like, you know, my mindset isn't to go score 30 and I'll be okay with scoring like 10 or 12 and I give out like 10 assists. You know, like stuff like that like makes me more happy than like scoring. And sometimes like clubs, they want you to come over there and like do that. And, you know, this last time when I got sent home from the team in Mexico, I realized like you can be nice and be nice, you know, be kind and be nice to everyone. But like, I try to be like everyone's friend and I kind of worry about like, I don't need to shoot the ball. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that, where it's like, no, these teams are bringing you over here to do your job and they are expecting you to go above and beyond. And so that's one thing that's helped me is like, yes, you can go over, be nice, you know, be kind, get along with everybody, but you got to realize you're here for your job. And so I realized that like being cut, you know, you don't think you would be cut from a team overseas because you think you're playing well, but they're like, no, we need more. And that's what it's kind of like. And I'm like, dang, I thought I was giving you more, but they're like, no, we need more and more. And so the pressure of that now is just like, okay, when I go, when I'm going, next time I go into Iraq, my dad, he just mentioned this to me on the phone yesterday and was like, you can't go over there trying to be, everybody's friend. And he doesn't mean that in a bad way. And I get the way he says this because like, he's like, this is your future. He's like, these people are bringing you over for a reason. And that reason is they want, to win this championship or to win this tournament. And that's what I'm realizing, like, okay, I'm not just getting put in these positions because I'm going over here to be a nice person,
right.
Which matters. Like all that matters. But what also matters is if you're producing on the court or not. Because, those people, they bring you to pretty much uplift their team. So that's what my mindset is now, to like, not to put so much pressure on myself to like score this or score that, is just to pretty much just go over there and like play my game. You know what I'm saying? And not worry about if I'm going to be sent home.
Right.
Because sometimes like I do have that in the back of my head. Like I've been sent home twice already. So it's like, I don't want to go to another place and like, I'm not what they expect. So like, I take that accountability. Like I do what I'm supposed to do home, like, getting my workouts in and stuff like that. But it's just, just keeping that mindset of like, all right, I've been sent home. It's okay. Time to go home and get better, So being sent home, like it's been a struggle to kind of like accept, but it happens to everyone. It happens to the best of us, So it doesn't necessarily mean like you're not a good player or you weren't where, who you thought you were. It's just maybe you weren't that fit for that team. And that's what I realized. Like maybe I just wasn't the fit for that team. And maybe they just needed a player that did something else. Cause I was maybe passing the ball too much when they thought I should shoot. But I'm like, I'm a team player. I'm not, so those are just things I try to like keep in the back of my head. Like, okay, don't worry about if this team's going to send you home. Just go over there and do your job. So, yeah.
And that is like, I could agree that it's a tough balance to strike when like you are such a nice, friendly person, and the balance of like being nice but not being like too overly nice to where you're like now no longer like a threat. Like being able to still be like a complete competitor, but also stay in your identity of who you are, but also not be. I don't know. I've struggled with that because like naturally I'm not somebody that's just super like mean like you.
No,
I'm like
yeah,
kind of like I'm gonna be friends with my teammates type of thing. So I appreciate like you just kind of going into that. And then so like do you have any say like when teams do make those types of decisions, like trades or sending people home? Or
No, it's like this just goes back to when I got sent home from Mexico, actually just last year. It was right before I ended up going to Nicaragua. I was in Mexico and, at the time I had an agent, and I felt like in that moment, my agent did not fight for me. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like didn't advocate for me enough to where like, no, let me talk to my client. Let me see what's going on and let's get it right.
Right.
But I just kind of felt like my back wasn't had in that moment. And so that's even another thing that kind of made me feel like, maybe I just, I don't need an agent. So, it was like one of those things where you get sent home and then you're like, dang, I just got let go from my job. What next? And so after that, I didn't like sulking in. I was like, okay, whatever. It's cool. Another opportunity to come up. And, Nicaragua ended up coming up. And, I went to Nicaragua, and what I guess they needed from me in Mexico, I went and did in Nicaragua. And, I ended up finishing like, leader in points and stuff like that, and like second in assists and all that stuff. But like, that wasn't my mindset to go there and do that. My mindset was to go there and like, this team just sent me home because I guess I didn't live up to their expectations. So it was more so like, I had kind of like a little chip on my shoulder then, because I'm like, okay, what are they not, like, what am I not doing, or what are they not seeing that I couldn't contribute, to their team or whatever in that time being. So whenever it is, like, I just try to, like I say, just keep that mindset of just like, okay, one door closes, another one opens, or a better one will open up.
I love that. So, that's basically like the main questions. Oh, the one other thing that I wanted to just touch on is just people say it gets lonely, or like, you know, it's you're in an unfamiliar place. Like we talked about, sometimes you don't have Americans on your team. It's one thing going across the country. It's another thing being in a complete different country, and, you know, also having to have this pressure to perform, all these types of things. So how do you deal with that? Like, do you have routines that you turn to or things of that nature?
So I just, like, when I'm gone, like, I'm such a homebody. Like, even when I'm here too, like, I don't do much when I'm home. Like, if I'm not in the gym, I'm probably home, like, chilling with my wife, or some, you know, working with some kids or something like that. Like, those are things like I love to do. So like when I'm gone, I try to find ways. Like, I'll ask the coach, like, hey, is there some kids I can like work with? You know what I'm saying? Or there's some school I can go do some reading or something too. So I don't like feel like as bored, because when I am gone, like, I'm not over there to party. Like, I'm not a party person either. So I'm usually like in my room, and like, you know, I'll read my Bible a little bit, but like, there's nothing like super crazy that I do, but it does get lonely. And like, you know, being able to like talk to my wife, like, she helps me out a lot, you know, especially even with the time difference. Like, she has to adjust to the time. I have to adjust, you know, like my parents, everyone has to make, you know, like these different adjustments. But it helps when like you have support, like, you know what I'm saying? It helps when you have someone like, you know, to just talk to, or like I can call my parents and like, hey, I had a bad game today. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially talking to my dad, like, cause he can give me from dad perspective, and he can give it to me from, you know, coach perspective. And it might not be what I want to hear, but it helps me like in that moment, you know what I'm saying? To kind of like, cause it gets so lonely. Like that, like this past season when I went back to Albania, I didn't really have another like American there with me. So like I had to kind of like, you know, like, hey, you don't have really, you know, somebody to like reach out to, or this teammate to go sit down and talk with. So you just kind of get to a point where like, okay, I walk around a little bit, you know, I'll walk around the city, you know, go to little different places and just like, you know, visit those spots. But those are the things that help me like not feel as lonely or feel like I'm bored. So I'll just try to like find little things to like help me just like keep my mind sane, and, you know, keep me at level headed, so I don't feel like I'm so lonely I gotta go. Because I know it gets like that. Like, I've had friends where they've been overseas and it was hard because, you know, they were away from their kids, you know, away from their spouse, or, you know, just away from family. Like, it's hard and it takes some adjusting to get to. And so I would say like just learning to kind of like maybe make some kind of friends out there if you can, but you don't have to. Like, if you're a person like me who doesn't like have to be around a crowd of people, like, I love, you know, being with people, but I don't feel like I have to be like in a crowd of people. And that's one thing I think that helps me when I go overseas, because I don't feel like just because I'm like here, I got to go be in this crowd with these people. Like, I'm here for my job. I'm not here for like vacation. So, but like I said, like, just having like being able to have my wife to talk to, and like my family and stuff like that, and having like a support system, it helps a lot with not feeling like as lonely. But it does get lonely over there sometimes. It does.
At least you're seeing the world.
No,
seeing
yeah,
new
that's
places.
exactly, that's the thing too. Like, I go back to that gratitude part. I'm like, no matter what situation I've been in, good, bad, and different, like, I'm still able to, you know, travel the country and like see different places and meet new people. And that's the joy of it all, you know. And the icing on the cake is I get to hoop.
Play basketball.
You know, get to play basketball. So it's like, I love it, you know, like, and if I can, you know, when eventually when I do stop playing, I would still, like I said, I want to go over and like, you know, work with kids and like do different camps and stuff like that, and just like continue to like give back and just stay around the game. So
for sure. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
No problem.
So that wraps up the main like questions I have for today. I just wanted to like, if you wanted to say any closing words or anything else you need to add. If not, I'll wrap up.
Well, first off, I just want to thank you for like honestly like inviting me on your podcast and stuff. This is like my first time, you know, doing something like this, and really kind of just being able to like, you know, share a lot of like my experience, you know. So like, I just want to thank you a lot, and you're doing a great job with your podcast and stuff too. So
really
I really do hope you get to take off with it and you're able to really get the right people and the the right people in front of you and stuff too. So thank you again.
I appreciate
I appreciate it.
And thanks for being so open
no problem.
coming on the show.
No problem.
I know that the things that we talked about today is extremely helpful for me, as I navigate things in my athletic career and in life. But I also know that there's countless people that I've talked to that have aspirations to do what you have done or have been in situations that you've been in that we talked about today. Right. And so I appreciate just your transparency with everything, because I know some of those things take courage to talk about. So I just want to first of all, thank you for your time. Thank you for being open. And thank you for just being a positive person and role model. I would say from the first time I met AB, you always just had a big smile on your face and you were extremely easy to talk to, for somebody that I was meeting you for the first time. Just here playing pickup. Shout out Pickup USA for letting us use the lounge to record today. And I also just wanted to give you a shout out for people to follow you on Instagram. I'm going to tag everything. I'm going to tag her on all the posts I make, but also her Instagram is lowlifeab33. Yeah. Is there any other social media channels that you have? I mean, I have Facebook and Twitter and Threads as well, but they're all the same. My Twitter is lowlifeab33 and my Facebook name is Antoinette Bannister. So all that information will be out, but once again, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Grace. I really hope you guys took something away from the show today, and stay tuned for the next episode on the Live with Grace podcast. Signing out. No, that was great. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Live with Grace podcast. I hope you found our conversation today insightful and inspiring. Before we wrap up, I've got something special for our loyal listeners. As a thank you for your support, you can use the coupon code LOVE10 at checkout for 10% off your order. That is LOVE10, all capital letters, for 10% off your order. Visit my new store at the link in the description or by heading to gracebuyer.myshopify.com. And if you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow athletes and sports enthusiasts. Stay connected with me and with the podcast on social media for updates, behind the scenes, and more. And until next time, this is Grace Buyer signing off. Keep chasing your dreams, and we'll see you in the next episode.